Can you hear us, Willie?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yep, I'm going to turn you up just a little bit.
Okay.
I have this odd, like, popping noise in my computer. I hope you're not hearing that.
A little bit, but that's all right. It's not too distracting. It's fine.
This thing. That's worse.
Different speakers.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yep. Yep.
It's
All right, well, we're just doing some last minute tech adjustments here.
Okay, that's all right. I kind of like this. I don't often get a chance to see myself and adjust my tie as I'm speaking.
It's my computer. Yeah, it's my computer. No, it's already coming out.
So we're going to try switching computers real quick.
Okay.
We'll reach back out to you here in a couple minutes, okay?
Yeah, why don't you just leave it in there?
Leave it.
Be able to jump in the hangout, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So can you share your hangout with A. Morris at k12albemarle.org?
A. Morris. Okay. Let me do that.
Thank you.
If you have the three of you hooked up in the same Google, then you end up sharing your desktop.
Okay.
Hold on.
You can't manipulate the desktop for the image? Look at it. The third question.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, that's why it's got to have my computer for the image. I can share screen share my desktop.
I sent it, Nita, so it should be coming.
Okay, so we've muted my computer so we don't hear that noise.
Okay.
And we're going to use Amy's audio.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sure. I think Amy's audio sounds great.
And I can't hear you because I muted my computer.
I just said Amy's audio sounds great.
Okay. Get over there.
I don't find it. There it is.
So just send you the link.
Wait, no.
I'm gonna start that. You can video that half, and we can be on this half. The audio is just coming through.
Looks like a nice day up there.
Really?
It is. It's a little hot and muggy outside, but other than that.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, can you hear Amy now? Amy, say something.
There we go.
I should be on.
Hi.
Hi. Hi, Amy.
Can you hear me? Maybe not. It sounded like a horror movie.
Yeah.
Hi.
That wasn't you, was it, Amy?
Welcome. There's Matt.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, Matt. Nice to see you.
Sorry, I'm giving you a headache.
It's doing it too.
Yeah. What's going on there?
Mine's doing the same thing.
You think it's me?
I don't know.
I don't know. Mine did this at the county office building the other day, though.
We have bad speakers.
Yeah,
You want to just use yours? No?
How about that for you?
I know. That's what I'm saying. Mine's even worse.
Alright. I'm out. Okay, so let me unmute. Okay, can you hear us?
Yep. Gotcha.
Alrighty. So we're gonna put you on a cart so we can like move you around.
Okay.
You can see everybody. Sorry, Willie. Work
That's
issues.
all right.
All right, well, we think
It
we're good.
happens.
I think we're good to
Pardon me?
get started here.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure, I know some people introduce themselves, so I want to make sure that everybody, that you know who's in the room.
Okay.
So it's me.
And see,
Hey.
Hi, Willie. Vince Shiver.
Hi, Vince.
Katie Morris. I'm the assistant principal at Sutherland.
Okay. Nice to meet you.
I'm Matt London, and I am a lead instructional coach.
Hi, Matt.
Hi. So we can go ahead and get started with the first part of the interview, which is your presentation.
Okay.
So
Great. I'll.
to do your presentation, and if you would like a time reminder at some point, maybe at the 5-minute mark, we'd be happy to give that to you.
That'd be great. Yeah, that'd be great. Let me pull this up here. Can y'all see this? Let me go full screen here.
yeah, Willie, we are projected as well. So
Okay.
yeah, my computer's hooked up to a projector in a classroom.
Okay. And so you can see my presentation right there.
Correct. We can.
All right, perfect. So thank you very much for giving me the time to speak with all of y'all about the position. I'm going to go through and I've created this presentation to show how I might address some of the points in the job description. If at any point you have questions or things you want to ask me, feel free to stop. I'd rather it be a conversation than me on a soapbox, so please do that. I'd like to begin and do something different. I'm going to take 1 minute out of my 15-minute time span. I'd like for each of you to create a 4x4 grid. It can look like the grid that you see up here, but make sure it has 16 cells. And in those 16 cells, I'd like for you to write qualities that you think would make a good colleague. I'd like for you to write job duties associated with this position, instructional goals you might have as a coach or as an assistant principal or as your teachers, and then student learning goals. And just fill in the entire 4x4 grid with whatever comes to mind. Fill as many. If you want to put the same thing in 16 of the cells, that's perfectly fine. Just go ahead and fill it in and try to center it around this particular position, the instructional technology integrator position. I'll tell you what we're going to do with that next. Do y'all have any questions or anything about that?
Do you want us to put in the grid all the qualities and aspects of the job?
Whatever comes to mind.
Okay.
And I'll watch my clock here, so just do as many as you can. So you got about 30 more seconds.
Really, I hated mandarin going.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that. You got about 10 more seconds. Just do as many as you can. All right. Go ahead and stop. So, what in the world? Why am I asking you to do this in a job talk where I'm supposed to be promoting myself? Well, what I'd like to do, and I'm not doing this for any cutesy reason, is I'd like to play a modified version of bingo. As I go throughout this little job talk, I'd like for you to mark off in a particular cell when you think I've addressed one of the points that you wrote down, whether it's an instructional goal or a job duty or a job function. Just go ahead and mark it off. If you get 4 diagonally, 4 horizontally, or 4 up and down, just write the time down. Look up at the clock and write the time down. Please don't shout bingo, because that might disrupt everybody. But yeah, just write the time down. My reason in doing this is a couple. One, I've got a pedagogical reason for having you do this. And one is to at least make you stay engaged and think about the position from your own perspective while you're listening to me. Because a lot of times I found when I'm teaching or when I'm instructing, not having that additional pedagogical device to help learners, whether they're teachers or students, can lead to less understanding. So there's a pedagogical reason apart from just being bingo. It also will help you see if I'm a good fit. Hopefully, that's kind of putting me on the spot in that if only one cell of your 16 grid gets filled out, then I probably need to go reassess. But it'll give you a chance to see if I'm a good fit, and it also give me a chance at the very end to clarify anything I might have left out. So if you have a number of cells and they all relate to job duties and I haven't talked about it, feel free to question me and ask me, and I'll try in my best ability to explain to you. Does that kind of make sense? Do you have any questions about that? Okay, all right. So I am going to talk a little bit about the different bullet points I saw on the job, beginning with innovative pedagogical practices, and try and show you some different ideas and approaches that I've taken to teaching and learning, primarily at the middle school, but some at the elementary and high school level. The first would be this bingo game. It's a very general pedagogical approach, but it's something that I felt has worked well with teachers and students, is to not sit there and lecture. That's not something that I believe is very effective. And so a second would be in the domain of English and language arts. When I taught 6th grade and when I worked as an administrator at the Trinity School, we had an initiative to help cultivate our middle school students' writing. More specifically, the teachers wanted to have a deeper connection within writing, to not just write for the teacher or the parents and then throw away a piece of writing, but to write for an audience and to write for a purpose. And so I helped, in terms of innovative practices, and this was about 6 or 7 years ago, install a WordPress multi-user installation, and each one of the students had their own blog. And it was all fed using RSS into a central location where both parents and students could read what was being written. It also offered opportunities for the teachers and myself to dig deep into real life issues of digital citizenship and digital literacy. What is and what isn't appropriate to share? How do you constructively comment and provide feedback? And so that'd be one example in the domain of language arts that I feel like I've done something innovative. Another would be incorporating GPS units and geocaches into social studies instruction. I don't know if, Matt, you're an instructional coach. What focus are you on, Matt?
Mathematics.
Mathematics. Okay.
Our instructional coaches are generalists in the classroom working with teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Who are overseeing the content area. I'm a lead coach in mathematics.
Okay. Okay. Well,
Willie?
yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Your slideshow is not progressing through.
Oh, it's
So we-
not? What do you?
No, we just see Learning Technology Integrator with your name and date and email and all that.
Okay, thanks.
We're looking at. Okay, there we go. Yay! Oh, now we see.
Let me start again. Well, that's good. That kind of. Thanks for letting me know. I'll just do my whole screen. Can you see it now?
So we see, yeah, we see GPS and geocaching right now.
Okay. All right. I'll just leave it like that and not go into full screen if that's okay with y'all.
That's fine.
Okay. And so in social studies, one of the things that myself and some of the other teachers I worked with were thinking was when students studied longitude and latitude, there were some hidden misconceptions in what they thought they knew and what they were able to do just by studying maps and studying a textbook. And so we created a whole bunch of geocaches, little treasure troves throughout our school campus, and we used GPS units to go locate them. The instructional goal was to help them better understand longitude and latitude. And what came about, what bubbled up from the students was they had misconceptions that in the real world, longitude and latitude ran parallel and with major lines. So for instance, on a football field, they thought lines of latitude would definitely correspond with the 10-yard marks, which obviously it doesn't. And so that came up, and that was a really interesting misconception that came about. We also learned that students didn't really fully realize how much distance there was between a line of longitude. And obviously, if you're using geocaches, traveling 1/100th of a line of longitude or latitude is quite a big leap. And so that also bubbled up. And so uncovering misconceptions through technology is something that I'm also very passionate about. As far as math goes, and Matt, this would be of more interest to you, the MQ program, which I don't know if is it still running in Albemarle County?
Yeah.
Say more about which MQ program you're talking about.
Well, the one that I helped out with was about 3 or 4 years ago with Bernard Hairston and Robert Berry.
Yeah, that's still going.
Okay. And so the MQ Math Men and Mission, what we did related to math was we used digital fabricators and 3D printers to help the students design wind turbine blades. And they created a variety of different wind turbine blades using these fabricators. And the instructional goal was then to make a mathematical rationale for what wind turbine blade would produce the most power. So we were able to get at some engineering, we were able to get at mathematics through use of spreadsheets, through iterative design and the design of the windmill blades. And it was very much experiential. It was a very hands-on, practical example. Can you see the new slide, Nita?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In the realm of science, an innovative pedagogical approach would be making and designing speakers. You're looking at a student, and this was in Charlottesville. It was at, I'm forgetting the name of the middle school, but I helped the team over at UVA with Glenn Bull help these middle school students discover properties of sound, like wavelength, by designing their own speakers. If you look very closely at the base of the speaker, you'll see the magnets and the wire. And so they did everything, soup to nuts, to design the speaker. And then they once again, iteratively changed the speaker cone for something that was big to wide to small, and then tested the frequencies that resulted. And so they were able to really dig in and find out important science principles that otherwise would have been relatively flat just studying from a textbook. I'm going to skip through that one and talk about this one. One of my passions is video games and how video games support learning. And although I haven't done this, one of the ideas that I've been thinking a lot about is how video games can help students who learn differently. So for example, this was featured in the new book, The Game Believes in You by Greg Topos. And it's a game called Throw Trucks with Your Mind. And if you can separate yourself from the implied violence of it, let me share with you. So in Throw Trucks with Your Mind, it's a virtual world, and you have an avatar. If you look at the screen, you'll see the little guy with the king. And in order to control that avatar, you have to concentrate. And you don't concentrate with a traditional analog handpad. You actually wear a $100 sensor that straps to your head, and it measures various things. But what it does in this game is the more you concentrate, the more you can lift virtual boulders. And what schools and what educators are starting to do with this game and the system is look at different ways that students with ADHD and attention deficits might be able to better concentrate and attend to tasks and activities in the classroom by going through this versus being prescribed medicine. And so one of my interests as far as education is like this might meld in the classroom. So as far as professional development, because I understand this is going to be a key component of the job, my basic philosophy is one of know, see, do, and reflect. And what that means is that in order for a teacher or an instructional coach or a principal or somebody to learn how to effectively integrate technology, they need to have the knowledge. And that's just not knowledge of technology, it's knowledge of the content, what Matt's an expert in. It's knowledge of appropriate pedagogical approaches, and it is technology, the TPAC model, and it's multifaceted. I also believe that in helping other teachers learn how to use technology, they need to see it, and then they need to do it in manageable chunks, and then finally reflect upon that. And so if I was to tell you in my four-word phrase what my philosophy of helping teachers, it'd be know, see, do, and reflect. Some of the things that I've done with teachers as far as PD goes, I was the director of the TIP program, the partnership between Albemarle Schools and UVA, where I worked with pre-service teachers in the classroom, and they went out and implemented collaboratively with an Albemarle teacher to design and implement a technology-infused lesson. And so my role helped both pre-service teachers as well as those in-service classroom teachers. I also, as far as PD, believe that it's important to meet individuals at their particular level, their level of readiness. For one teacher, that might be just learning how to find videos and discovery streaming, to just do something very basic. Although that wouldn't be the globally connected ideal that we all hold up, it would be a good entry point for building towards, and I believe that's important. I've also given a number of large group PD sessions, everything from 50 to 100 person workshops at ISTE to some private consulting that I've done with schools in Atlanta using digital fabricators and 3D printers with middle school math teachers. This is from the Levitt School. And so I've done a wide gamut from small group to large group to a whole group. Digital citizenship and literacy. I was going to tell you the story about Emma. I don't think I have time to say it, but it is something that I believe is important, and it's important to discuss and explicitly talk about with students. And I try to model it as well. You'll notice that every single one of these slides has an attribution to the image. Either it's an image taken by me or it's a Creative Commons image. So I think a good component of digital literacy is modeling as well, and that's what I hope to do with that. As far as helping teachers learn about digital literacy and helping their students, one example that I've used when I've taught graduate students about technology integration is the Northwest tree octopus. Has anybody heard of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Obviously, it's not real. But if you go to the website, and I put the website at the bottom, you'll see it's a very convincing website to the untrained eye. And it really is a wonderful case study for looking at elements like how do you tease out a web domain address and think about whether it's delivering false or good information. How do you evaluate the use of images and believability? So those aspects of digital literacy. And although this is kind of a fun example of that, I would say in general, I think those examples and case studies of digital literacy I found to be the most effective. How am I doing on time, Jamie?
We have a couple minutes to wrap up.
Okay, couple minutes. So planning and co-teaching, things that I've done at Albemarle. I've worked very closely with Paula White on a number of projects. What you're seeing right there is what's called a generation pop-up. And that was part of a larger sequence of lessons that she and I co-developed and co-taught in mathematics. And the learning goals for that mathematical experience was measurement, ratios, and proportion. And so the students learned how to create an artistic pop-up like that, but one that they had to demonstrate knowledge of measurement. The little ridges that you see had to be in certain ratios. So it was more of an application of what they learned. And Paula and I both worked very closely to make sure it worked with her students and was appropriate. Another project with Shelby Bowen. I don't know if she's with the district anymore. But about 3 or 4 years ago, she and myself and one other grad student did a MEA, and MEA stands for a model eliciting activity. And that's an activity where students have to make a mathematical model of some idea. In this example, they had a paper airplane contest, and they had to come up with a mathematical way of determining the winner of the paper airplane contest based on hang time, accuracy, and distance. And when you think about that, it seems relatively simple. But if you tell the students they can't weight one over the other, then you get into issues like, well, you know what, measurement, individual units of measurement, like fractions of an inch, aren't base 10. How do I justify that with minutes and seconds, which don't exactly fit? And how do I weight those together? And how do I come up with a mathematically reasonable way to combine all that together? It was a very rich learning experience. Collaboration with administrators. I developed, ran, and managed a one-to-one tablet program at the Trinity School. This was about 6 years ago, so it was before iPads, and we used the basic HP tablets, and it was a project that I had to work very closely with teachers and administrators to make sure that the year-long PD leading up to it went well and the implementation and rollout went well. I also planned with school administrators at this very same school to develop a virtual presence that featured things like wikis. The Writers Exchange was a part of it. We had something called Trinity TV. I ran a video production studio where students did a closed circuit broadcast, and we also had password protected access to that on the website. And that was all done in collaboration. Assessment, and then I'm going to wrap up here. I've assessed, and one of my questions for all of y'all is how you go about assessing teachers' technology use. And I'll hold that question and just say that I've used a variety of different assessments, from more informal observations and coding with my pre-service teachers in the TIP program, to using, this is a TPAC assessment instrument. I know it's difficult to see, but I used it for some micro teaching activities, and it's based on some work out of William & Mary dealing with activity types and TPAC. And I'm gonna stop there. Anybody get a bingo? Anybody mark off their squares? Did you forget?
Yep. Yeah. Bunch of us had it.
Okay, good, good. Well, let me stop there. Do y'all have questions, things that I can clarify?
What's micro teaching?
Micro teaching, okay. So micro teaching is an activity. It's mainly done with pre-service teachers, and I'm gonna switch over here and stop so you can see my face. Yeah. Micro teaching is an instructional activity where teachers who don't have access to an actual classroom will pretend teach in an audience of usually other pre-service teachers, but it could be somebody that's not affiliated. And so micro teaching is the act of teaching in a contrived environment, and it's a good entry point into that act of teaching. And so we did it at the Curry School, and I used that activity types rubric to evaluate their use of technology in their particular lesson. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Can you hear me?
A little bit, yeah.
How about now?
That's better.
Okay. So you're going to watch a video, and we want you to take a moment to view the video and share your observations.
Okay.
And then also to tell us anything that you observe in the video that could be valuable for students in a high school classroom.
For students in a high school classroom.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I just showed you that video, so it should be in your email account.
My Gmail account?
Yeah, Jamie just emailed you a link to that video
Okay.
into your Gmail account.
Okay. I'm gonna pause this then. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay.
It is. I thought it was weird. It was on both of our computers.
I can still hear you.
That happened though at 3:20 to me.
Huh.
The same voice.
Electromagnetism.
What time is the AI?
Because you don't have shielded cables.
Hey Nita, do you think you could put it in the chat window? It's not showing up yet in my email.
Sure.
It goes away.
Okay, it should be there.
Got it.
Okay, perfect.
Ah,
Keeps turning that off in certain
Yeah,
years.
well, I thought it was weird because I've never had that happen on mine before. And I just used it yesterday for developmental design training.
hey, Nita, would y'all mind muting your microphone? Thank you.
Can I mute my microphone?
Yes, please. Okay.
You hear?
Yep. Gotcha. So what I noticed from the video that you might say to high school students, I wrote down 5 different things. One, noting that it's very much an individual learning process. I mean, the kids are spread out. They're each doing something different on a different device. It looked as if there was minimal direction from the teacher, and that would be the second thing. I think a lot of high school students expect to walk into a classroom that's very didactic, that's led by the teacher, and this classroom wasn't that. And so there was very much a self-exploration of what they were doing. That was my impression. I don't know if that's the case. I would also say that it would be interesting to point out to the high school students that not every single child was on the same page. And there wasn't necessarily, there might have been a common theme going throughout of it, but each student wasn't completing lab exercise 1 at the same time. And that seemed to be okay with each one of the students. It was also very evident that it was student directed. It was the students learning and exploring by themselves and taking the initiative to do that rather than it being presented or given to them or laid out typically as you might see it. And those were the big takeaways that I had.
You mentioned student directed. This is Matt. You mentioned student directed. So I'm an Algebra 2 teacher, and I want to have a more student directed class with technology. How can you help me do that?
Okay. I think right off the top of my head, was this Matt that was asking that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Matt, if you were a teacher that came and approached me like that, I'd first ask you some questions. I think it's helpful from my perspective to know where you're at, what your students are doing, what you feel works well with your students, and then go from there. So taking all that aside and taking it totally blind, let's assume, Matt, that you have iPads. I might say to you, there is an app called Dragonbox. Have y'all ever seen Dragonbox or heard of it?
Dragon Box? No.
Dragonbox. Dragonbox is one of the most wrote about iPad apps that truly embodies what a learning game should look like. And it's billed as the algebra app that teaches first graders algebra. And it's an engaging, fun app, and it teaches algebraic concepts and algebraic thinking through a very simple, informative game. I've read some case studies where 5- and 6-year-olds, within a couple hours, are able to move from concrete representations of variables into the abstract notations that you typically see. And so I might suggest that as an entry point for you to go check out and see what you thought, and then have you come back to me and tell me what you thought. If it was an idea or something that you liked, then we could go from there in terms of thinking through what it might be to implement that in your classroom or do something pedagogically different with it. So that's kind of how I would do that, Matt.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So, Willie Spence, one of the things that we're looking for is for our teachers in our schools to be able to show growth with technology integration. So, how about either to be able to test technology integration? How would you go about helping formulate growth models in their acquisition of technology integration skills?
I kind of got bits and pieces, but nod your head if I got it right. How would I document or show or assess growth in teachers using technology? Is that what you said? Okay, perfect. With my researcher hat on, especially, I mean, there are a number of different ways to document growth. I think one of the best way is more of a qualitative approach to record, to write down, to videotape, to reflect upon what it is they're doing. I think that may not be easily accomplished with some teachers. I mean, obviously you can't get teachers to do that given all that they have going on. I would see my role as being some of that. I think there's a piece of assessing teachers' technology use in an informal, constructive way. And if you do it informally, whether it's conversations and do it over time, then I think eventually, if it's documented, it can show growth. It can show changes over time. You could also use something like the TPAC activity assessment instrument that I mentioned. That'd be another one. So does that kind of answer your question? Okay.
Okay, Willie?
Yeah.
The next sort of activity we have is the student laptop exploration
Okay.
and discussion. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and I hope this works.
Okay.
So we are on a student laptop. It is a Lenovo ThinkPad 11E.
Okay.
And we just kind of want you to take this for a test drive. All right? And then we have 3 questions as you're taking this for a test drive. What you like about it, what you would change about it, and what questions you have for us. You can share those thoughts and observations out loud with us. That'd be great.
So say those questions again, what I like about it, what I would change.
And what questions you have for us.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, go for it.
All right, so I'm going to hit the screen share button.
I think it'll just share it. I mean, I won't be able to interact with it.
I can't give you control.
I don't think so.
You see what I'm doing?
Yep.
Okay. Can you move something, the mouse?
No.
No? Okay. Okay. All right, you want to tell me what to do then? And I will, I'll do what you asked me to do.
Okay.
How about that?
Why don't
Okay.
you? Yeah. Why don't you click on desktop? Okay. Let's open Firefox.
That's because I was going to Skype you, sorry.
Okay. Why don't you click in the URL bar?
Okay.
Then click Speak Selection. And then say google.com. Oh.
So that speak selection is to read a website. That's a add-on app that we have
Okay.
installed to read a website to a student.
Okay. Click on. Okay, scroll down then on the web page. Click and highlight that first paragraph right there underneath. Yeah, that one. And click Speak Selection.
Apple and Android devices. User Apple App Store or Google Play.
Okay. Go to Student Resources.
But I'm sorry?
Student Resources.
There you go.
And go to Blackboard Learn. Okay, go to Student Resources. I mean, I'm just kind of poking around here. Scholastic Student Access. Okay. Go to Teacher Resources. And so this is a student computer?
It is.
Okay. And it's secondary, or is this for everyone? Oh, elementary, middle, and high school.
The image is for everyone.
Okay. All right. Go to ACPS school sites. Go to Crozet. Go to students. Okay. Go to Dart Service Desk. So students would have to log in there, or teachers, or anybody?
Yes.
Okay.
If they have a tech problem, like
Okay.
like a issue, or the network's down, or something like that.
Okay. Click on the little messaging app in the upper right corner. Yeah. Click Get Started. Okay. Go to the personal bookmarks on this browser. That's not in the bookmark bar. Okay.
This is my computer, and I don't use Firefox often, so there's not many bookmarks.
Okay. So is
Sorry.
this the kind of the same profile that'd be in Google Chrome as well?
Correct.
Okay. How much do y'all have students using Smart Notebook and Active Inspire?
So that's absolutely available.
Yeah.
You can see it down here on the toolbar. It's also linked on the start screen as well.
Okay.
The screen there. And tell us what you don't see, you add, you add something.
So what I don't see and what I would add.
Right.
Okay.
Or what you like, share your likes.
Okay, so a couple of things. One, from the start screen, I kind of like the simplicity, but from a teacher perspective and a student perspective, it probably deviates a lot from what they're used to, and some of those core tools that teachers and students may use, I didn't see. I only saw the shortcuts toolbar, and maybe that was it. And then what was down next to the start menu. So I saw you have Scratch, Picasa, all of that.
I'm just scrolling over for you so you can see.
Yeah. So you've got the Adobe suite as well. So from the desktop view, how would they get to the Adobe products? Show me that.
So that's a great question. In 8.1, you don't have really the start screen was down here. So the start button takes you to a tiled view, and so they would click. Yeah, they go over to the left-hand side and they click the start button, and you can toggle back and forth from desktop view to start menu view.
Okay.
So they would have to click over there. If they want there, they could link a shortcut to the desktop if they choose to.
Okay. So a couple things just poking around in what I saw. I think there'd be issues with the Firefox Messenger if this is a profile for elementary through high school students. I don't know. It says there might be issues with that. I like the app, the speaking app, but I'd also wonder, so when you have students who need that functionality, are you also going to give them all headphones? If not, it's going to be just a cacophony of sounds in the room. So that would be a question. I also am curious as to why you'd have links to the school websites, I guess, if I don't know. I don't know. When I look at the school websites, and maybe this is uninformed when I look at them, but where the students might actually want to go is about 5 clicks in. And so would students be able to, or teachers be able to bookmark on their personal computers or create shortcuts to be able to go directly to those 5-layer deep pages?
So, Willie, with our one-to-one program at the secondary level from 6th grade to 12th grade, all kids have admin rights on their device.
Okay.
So they are allowed to modify it, change it, do whatever they need to do to make it theirs. So they have the ability to take those links away if they want to. They can do whatever they want to do. Install printers at home. Install any kind of software that they need to help themselves learn.
How did y'all decide which applications appear in this start menu?
So a team group of DART does this. So we have engineers on that team as well as ed tech. Ed tech informs a lot of this. And the engineers make the image pretty much, and then our client services deploy that image. We also facilitate feedback from teachers and kids. So,
what was their feedback?
So it varies, and we each year we have a process for this. So as we're out in schools, we make note of those feedbacks and let the engineers know. So that feedback is certainly in this image.
Okay. So as far as creation goes, obviously, I'm a fan of Model Maker and Silhouette Studio and Diorama Designer and Neighborhood Map Maker. But how many classrooms versus this going on in the entire school have those tools to be able to use those?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually all of our elementaries have access to those, to the hardware that goes along with that software.
And so how familiar do you think the teachers and students are with those applications that you see in the Adobe suites or the Toolbox or the Create suite? I mean, when a teacher or student opens this up and looks at it, do you think they look and say, oh, there's that, there's Scratch, there's Photoshop, I know how to use that?
No, I don't think most of them are aware, and that's why we're looking for technology learning and learning technology integration.
Okay. Are there particular areas that you think? I think the Office suite is what a lot of them probably know. Is of these things that you're prominently displaying as, look, here's what I've got, here's what we're offering. Are there ones that all of you find more engaging or more important than others?
So I think that it really depends on the instructional goal in the classroom and what they're trying to do, and then how we meet a tool with that goal. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it does. It does. So becoming familiar with GeoGebra, for instance, or is that Starry Night over there on the right?
I think it is Stellarium.
Stellarium. Okay. So helping teachers and students use those to meet instructional goals. Okay. I don't know. Quite honestly, I would say any sort of changes or recommendations I would make would have to. I'd have to really dig in and play around with it and look at it from the perspective of students and the teachers themselves. So.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I'm going to take us back. I'm going to try to.
Okay.
Where we are, and I'm going to stop screen sharing. Okay. So now you can see sort of the room, right?
Yep. Okay. Questions I have. At the schools you're considering these positions for, how do the technology integrators get in front of the teachers? How do they get an entry point into the classrooms? Is it something where you've got so many teachers in your schools clamoring to use these that they would be coming to this person, or is it a situation where that extra effort to reach out and to introduce new ideas is important? Does that make sense?
I think it's going to be all the above, Willie. I think you know, looking at placement across two schools, you're going to see different things. Every school has its own unique culture in Emerald County, its own community, and getting into each school and learning about educators in it, the way administration and educators work together, make learning happen in the classroom. I think you're going to really discover that it's going to be all the above and it's going to vary.
Okay. Okay. How have y'all, I think I may have asked this in the previous interview, how have y'all gone about assessing technology use in the district? What have y'all done?
Yeah, you did ask that last time, I think, and that's a great question. So if you look at our teacher performance appraisal data, that gives some good information about kind of qualitative use of technology and where technology is fitting into some of our other division initiatives.
Yeah.
We also do the Speak Up survey every year with Project Tomorrow, so that gives us more information about technology use. I think we do need to look at developing a different kind of assessment to better measure, you know, what type of learning in the classroom and how it's aligning to SAMR. Our new ed tech plan, we've really identified SAMR as being that measurement tool for measuring technology integration in the system.
Okay.
So something that I think as a team, we can certainly inform and, you know, really develop something that's going to be useful and informative.
Okay. Okay. What would be, you know, it said in the job description, other duties. Do you have, is this person also going to be responsible for teaching after school classes? Does other duties mean something else? What does that mean? Or does it just mean unknown?
I think at this point it's just kind of unknown. And I can tell you in every job description from the superintendent to a custodian, that is, those words are in there.
Okay. Understood.
That's if you join it, you know, if you come down tomorrow, you get a job offer and you take it, you're joining the team and you kind of do what it takes to get it done.
There you go. All right. The reason why I asked that is I've always enjoyed, I've taught some of the after school classes over at Crozet, and that's something that I've always enjoyed doing, and would welcome the chance to do that if it was possible, because I love that aspect of still being able to to work with kids. So I was kind of hoping you'd say that was a part of the other duties, but sounds like it might be.
Opportunity for LTIs for sure in the division to work after school and do PD and also work with kids.
Okay. Do you have, I know there was the Making Connections conference when I was up at UVA. Do y'all still have big PD days where y'all do something like that conference? Is that still going on?
Absolutely. So we do still do Making Connections. We have some extensive PD offerings throughout the summer as well now. And we even did something recently in the spring that was more of bringing other educators into Albemarle County and touring the schools and talking about some of the changes in student learning that we're going after. And there's a lot of different opportunities to engage in and facilitate PD in the as well as just after school, more traditional kinds of PD offerings that are centralized at the division level.
And so this position would be doing a mix of all of that in the schools, some of those things that you just mentioned. Okay. Describe for me, tell me about I know you said it was, you were filling these in multiple secondary schools. As best as you can, I know about Monticello, I know a little bit about Western Albemarle, but describe the culture of the school itself as far as the teachers go and as far as the principal and the leadership and what they want to do and their directions. Is that possible? Or whatever this position is going to be for.
Well,
whatever.
The position could be potentially for all 8 schools. So while we anticipate the position to kind of have a focal point at 2 schools, that we build a relationship with both administration and staff in those schools, the position isn't necessarily assigned to the school. So it's a division level position, and we're approaching it that way. The entire division is moving forward with 2 big things. One is a digital learning initiative, where we're looking to transform and digitize resources and activities. And that's been ongoing. So that's all starting next year. All K-12 graders in that model will be 1-on-1. So we are rapidly trying to help support our teachers with that conversion, as well as enable our students to do advantage of the resources and capabilities of the device offer. So these decisions are really coming in to an area where there's great need. Businesses recognize the need, teachers recognize the need, and we're there to support. And support teacher needs as well as the needs to be able to maximize learning opportunities for students.
Okay. All right. Most of it, I'm taking it, is going to be face-to-face, digging in with the teachers, whether it's those formal kind of district level PD offerings or, working co-planning and working with the teacher in the school. Is there going to be element that's going to be online, or do you see that as a direction you're moving in, mixture of both?
I think you'll end up in a hybrid learning environment, and our expectation is for our teachers to be in a hybrid learning environment. So we want to be able to model that. We want to be able to model that with administration, and we want to be able to model that with our teachers. So part of it could be working with administrators, helping them convert and them the way they're doing things into a more hybrid environment as well. So the idea is working with a bunch of different people, doing a bunch of different things. That's the cool thing about this job. You kind of have the ability to build it and work it as necessary. So we're not walking into something and starting 50 cookie cutter desk.
Okay. Okay. I think for right now, that's it on my questions. Is there anything else I can answer?
I don't think so. We just appreciate your time and your flexibility and your perseverance with working through the technology today.
No, that's all right. That's part of it. That's part of it. No, well, thank you very much for taking the time, and I look forward to hearing from you. And just kind of as an FYI for y'all, I'm having pretty major surgery on Monday, and so whatever y'all decide, you probably won't hear from me for a little bit. I'm supposed to be in the hospital for a couple weeks, but I should be out after that and on email. So,
Cool. Thanks, appreciate it.
All right, we'll be thinking about you. Good luck.
all right, thanks. Take care.
See you, Willie.
Bye-bye.